Hi all, this is a small update to, as the usual run-of-the-mill, try and explain the processes involved in doing this development and the headaches and etc. So as you can see at the moment, the 500 version of the case is done basically, and which means also for those that are going to ask the question that the 1200, 600 is pretty much done. I just have to do a new rear panel. And as I've said before, I'm not going to do them unless the Kickstarter is approved, and I'll come to that subject reason why later on. But as you can see, the 500 version, this is actually up running. My machine is, which way do I go? No, it is behind me. Yeah, so that's all good, and I have a great working system. And so I'm on the road to get the Kickstarter going. However, one of the things that's really important for this before I do the Kickstarter is I have to have all the prices in for everything, so I know what things are costing. But the molds have become a bit of a headache, and for those of you that probably watched my videos, I've been designing this in a product called SketchUp because I've done 3D in the past, but of course I wanted to jump back in, and this was a great tool for doing the 3D printing side of it. And all my models, everything's been done with this and designs. But of course, when you come into the real manufacturing world, it's completely different. And I've kind of struggled a little bit to get to grips with it. But basically, I've been doing mesh-based design. And for the real world, it has to be solid modelling. And it's a subtle difference, but it's important difference. So, SketchUp has actually helped me get this far, but of course I've had to move over to a different platform now. The real problem I was having getting the quotes, I can do the little panels, but the big main front panel, this part here, none of the systems have been able to read the STL file format, and this won't convert it, and then there's file conversion issue. Oh god, an absolute nightmare. But the bottom line was the actual model was no good anyway. So I've had to completely redesign it. So I spent a few days trying to find a suitable replacement toolkit, and I have no idea how many problems I've had trying to get a tool that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and will do the job. And now I've looked at loads of them. I've downloaded the tests and I've run the tests, and with good and bad results. But there's so many factors to take into account. I have to be able to output in step file format, or the other is IGS. And some could do it, some couldn't do it. Oh Jesus, it's just been an absolute nightmare. But I came across a product which was and I actually wish I'd started with that product, and it's called Fusion 360 from Autodesk. Now, one of the problems is obviously, when the Kickstarter's done, I'll have some budget and I'll be able to buy a professional piece of a tool, to do it. But I'm in startup mode. All the others want to charge you hundreds, thousands of pounds, but Autodesk has been really clever with this. That if you are a student or you are a startup that is making less than $100,000 a year, you can use it for free. And it is. And my initial, when I first started playing with it, I was having real problems just getting my head around how it works. And I'm not going to go into how it works in this video. But I had, I spent probably half a day playing with it. Just couldn't get to grips. I'd watch the tutorial videos and all that kind of stuff, and I just couldn't get to grips the way it worked, because I'm used to, Lightwave, SketchUp, and those kind of 3D rendering toolkits. And of course, I've got a design O level. I have an O level in actually doing hand drawings, so I understand the subject. But the toolkits were just a problem. Anyway, I found a couple of tutorials for this, and within about half an hour, nailed it, solved the problem, and now I think this product is fantastic. So what you can see now, because the metalwork designs, Barry from Henderson Fabrications had converted my drawings. We'd managed to get them to him in a way that he could copy the dimensions off, and he converted the drawings. But of course, I can read them in. So these drawings you see here if I turn off the front panel, all of this is the drawings he sent me, okay? And then what I was going to do was, then I would remold the front. Now I tried importing it and go around it. That didn't work. So what I basically did was I would have SketchUp in one window, taking dimensions off of it, and then I would translate them over to this. And because I've got the actual metalwork, I can see how it all lines up, and I can check the dimensions and everything. And eventually I basically got this to the point where I've now sent it off for a quotation. Now that's a big deal, getting this off. Now the first one I sent in yesterday, I was hoping to have the quotation back today, but I'd accidentally, I thought if I click the model, where's the model? I thought if I was to click, I'll turn it off now. Let's turn that off. Right, here we go. I thought if I was to click that, it selected it and then export it. It would only export that, but it exported the whole thing. So when it come back filed, it's got everything, so it can't make it. Head exploded. Anyway, so now what we're at state. Now this is the finished design. The other good thing about it is it gives me much better tools for things like the fillets around the edges and a much better. Every single time I put this onto Shapeways to test it, it's perfect every single time. So this has been a fantastic toolkit, and the fact that, and you know, once I'm assuming the Kickstarter is going to be a success, because there's so many people who've signed up for it on the mail shop. I'm not far off getting the actual numbers now. Hopefully that's a good sign. So when it's a success, I can buy myself an actual legit copy and actually use it. But in the meantime, they're very enlightened that you can use this toolkit to get you started without, you know, I mean, we're talking these products are a couple of £1,000s. So I'm really chuffed with this piece of software, and that the whole thing will be designed in it, and I think we stand a good chance of making a fantastic product. So so let's go into, you know, I'm not going to go into changes because you've seen all these models, but what I am going to show you is, now, as I've said before, the 500 version is pretty much done. I mean, yeah, there's some minor fine tuning, but it's pretty much done. But for the Kickstarter, I need to have, because part of the Kickstarter, as I've mentioned before, the other one part of it is the Amiga side, and the other part of it is the PC side of it. And so I've got my case under there. The second case came in black, and I took a shot of it, and literally it's being held up by sponges and stuff. But I've ordered a brand. I'm pointing at it. Actually, no, if I point it, it's all right. I've ordered a new Micro ATX motherboard, and I've ordered a much more powerful power supply to go in here than the one I had in the 500. And I'm going to build a virtual reality machine. Literally, with this one here, I'm going to build it completely with a water cooling block in it. Everything built into this case, and then be able to use it. And I'll do a video of that, and then I'll be able to take some pictures of it for the Kickstarter. Now, obviously, once the quote comes in, then I can do the calculations on the Kickstarter itself and work out the cost, how many, because I want to keep the price to £150, as I've always said, for the case. And the case is the metalwork and the plastics at the front and the LED panel. That's it. Okay. The rest of it is extras. I mean, if you want the 500 version, there's an adapter board. That's not included, obviously, because it's an extra. Not everyone needs it. But the £150 for the case, which I think is a bargain, because there was another case. I found another desktop case with a slidey underneath, $300. So you know, I think this is a reasonable price. To answer the question, I keep having to ask this question. No, if you don't want to have the keyboard slide underneath, take the risers off. It's not a problem. Okay. Anyway, so that's an update on where we are, and let me just go to this page here now. Right, this project is obviously expensive. I actually sat down and was doing my accounts the last couple of days, and I actually went through all the invoices of parts that I've bought experimenting. Now, the actual parts, I don't mind sharing this stuff with you. The actual parts to manufacture so far, I mean, the two cases are made £750 to make two cases, okay? In total, the prototyping, specifically just the prototype costs, have come about £1,500. So, yeah, it's quite a lot of money. And I've also spent over the past year experimenting with all this stuff. It turns out I spent about £1,000 buying little bits and pieces, you know, cards, adapters, and all this kind of stuff to see if they work. But I'm drawing a line now, okay, because this is getting ridiculous. Now, I can't spend any more. And people are saying to me, well, can you try this and can you try do that? Can you do this, that, do this? No more. Because I have the design, it works. For example, the keyboard, I've got a lovely mechanical keyboard for it. You can saw from that picture there. I bought another one for the PC. I spent money on the VR machine, so I've spent enough now. So at the end of the day, I've got two fantastic machines that I'm really happy with. Yes, it cost me a lot of money, but it's not the end of the world. Now, there is still work to be done, and there are things I'd like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to design a case. I'd like to do the keyboard case for the 500s. I'd like to do a keyboard case for the 1200. But it's all costing money, and I'm not doing it now. So the reason I'm showing you the Patreon page is this: that already there was up until a couple of days ago there was about 20. There's 30 patrons, and at the moment the Patreon is for me because if, say for example this case doesn't take off, you could still have a case. It would be a lot more expensive, but you could still have one. I'm confident it will kick off, but then there's products in the future. That I want to do. For example, you know, a lot of people saying they want a keyboard for the Amiga. Yeah, but I could quite happily do it. But I tell you now, designing the key, I don't mind. My time's irrelevant. I'm not worried about that. But for example, if I make the keyboard, a prototype for the upper and lower for the keyboard case is about £150, and you probably have to make a couple of them. So if I've got one for 500, one for the 1200, yeah, £500 for a few keyboard case prototypes. You know, the circuit board, buying all the different things, you can get the best one. You talk a few £100. So I have spent enough now. So if you would like to see me do this kind of work, how about here's what I'd like. I have 1,300 people on my Facebook group who are showing a lot of interest in it. Now, if every one of them put $1 a month, for say a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, that would generate so much revenue. Now, I don't mean the $5. Some people have been very generous, put $5. I don't need that. If a lot of people put $1, I mean it's 60p, you can't even buy beer for that. Put that in, it would then fund. I could then do things like create a case to fit the 1200 in. We've got ways of connecting it from there to the machine. They do get a bit expensive, but they've got to be experimented with. And I've got a guy who's interested in looking into maybe trying to get the cost down. But all this costs money. If you want to see this kind of work done, and you know, maybe I should put a target. I don't know. Put a target on there and say, you know, if I reach $300 or something a month, then I'll start working on them. But if people were to support the Patreon, I could then do outside of my original scope. The original scope is the case. Now, if the case is a success, to be honest, that if it completes and I ship them all to Amiga users, great. The project's finished. I'll recoup the money, pay off the things I've had to pay for, and I'll have a bit of profit at the end of it. But you know, then I'll probably draw a line at it then, and maybe you know, you may be able to, because I'll have a load of the plastics at the front, we may be able to do a very small rollout to Amiga users, because I don't think it'd be many more than that. If the PC community take it and they love the idea, that might be a whole different ball game, and then that will self-fund everything. But if you want all these people me to get, for example, you know, I've gone to Rob to develop the card, which can now be used somewhere else. I've gone to other people to support them with interface cards. All this costs money, and if you want to see more of that, then you know, consider donating. I mean, I don't want you to do the $5. I'd rather see a lot of people do the $1. Okay, because if you did it for 3 months, it's $3. It's not even a beer. You know, it's not even the cost of a beer. So, but the amount of people I've got on there, 1,300 people, I don't expect all of them to do it, obviously. But if say half of them did it, or even a quarter of them did it, this makes a considerable difference. So, you know, I've got the thing so you can see the amount I make per month, and I appreciate every dollar that people have donated. But of course, you know, it does a little bit. You know, it does help a little bit, but It's not the kind of the amount you need to really push things on. So I want to continue doing these things. And now, as a sweetener, some of you may know that I've been working on this project. It's pretty secret, but I'm working on a project with Alistair. And what we're doing is if you remember the not PC Amiga, the Siamese system from many years ago, not the one with RTG, but there's the original one. We're doing something with that for the Raspberry Pi. Now, my thing is this: I have always intended to. I've paid for it. It cost me £200 or £300, but I'm going to give the software away, and I will sell it as part of a bundle, obviously, and put a little bit of markup on it. But we are going to release the software. But what I'm going to do is, for a period of time, I would say until the Kickstarter's finished. Okay, once the Kickstarter's finished, I'm just going to make it available. So fun. But up until that point, if you want to get a copy of this, because I can't show you yet because it's not coming out for another week. If you are a Patreon supporter, $1 is all it takes. You'll have access to this software. Now that will mean that you will be able to put again, okay, let's be clear about this. If you buy a case or you're a Patreon supporter, you'll get the software for free, and then we'll give you links where you can buy. Everyone knows where to get a Raspberry Pi. The video switch is about a £5. I'll give you the link to where to buy that. I'm probably going to stock all this, obviously, and then there's cables internal, but there's going to be an adapter if you buy the case, which I could probably show you. Actually, in fact, what I'll do is bear with me a second. Let me just call this up, and then you can see this. So this little adapter is going to allow you to put no, I've got a better idea. What I will do is I will open it from here, and then you can actually see it. There we go. Right, I'm just going to save that. Right, so this is going to load up the Raspberry Pi and the video card. So bear it a second. It's just going to save this. Oh God, it's typical, isn't it? It's taking it forever. Come on. Do you know sometimes you just regret doing something? I bet it's because I'm recording at the same time. Hang on. Well, it might well actually do this, but just bear with me. I may put this. Oh, here we go. No, that's fine. That's there. Sorry about that. Right. So as you can see, this adapter screws onto the back panel of the 1500. Okay, and the ports come out the back. Now that is an HDMI output, and what you do is you take your HDMI from here and you plug it into one of these ports, and then you take, now you do need to have an internal Amiga with an internal HDMI, obviously. Now this is really probably to start with for Vampire users, but you will take the input for that. Now bear in mind you can bring it from the outside in, or if you've got if you've got an Indyvision with an HDMI, same thing, plug into one of these ports. So you've got two HDMI inputs. Our software will control it to switch the input. Now it'll be done with the keyboard. So basically, using the Amiga keyboard and mouse, you will then control the Amiga and the Pi. Okay, and it will be a seamless environment. So the Pi will be just like running an emulator, but it'll be actual hardware. And that then means you can run Chrome on the Pi on Linux. You can run all the OpenOffice software or the LibreOffice or whichever one it is. And it's going to open that to you. So they're the areas where the Amiga's kind of, at the moment, kind of lacking. The rest of it is fine. But that's going to give that. So that's, I think, quite a powerful alternative. Now, as I said, I am going to make that available after the Kickstarter's complete. I'm going to make that software and the knowledge available for free. You will, if you want to, either make your own. I'll even give you the model for the holder. I don't mind. I can give the STL file away if you want to print it. You're better off getting it from Shapeways anyway. I might put like a £5 on top of the price, but it should be under £20. We don't need that. No, thanks. So I'm going to make this available, but I'm only going to make it up until the point when we finally ship and I ship the product. When I ship, then I'll give that away. So in the meantime, if you want to get the software, you either need to have pledged for the Kickstarter and be a purchaser for that, or you need to be one of my Patreon supporters. And all that's going to do is just going to kind of bring a little bit more money in to allow me, because I've got to stop buying this stuff. I've been buying so much stuff, it's ridiculous. Because it's surprising. You need to test all these bits to make sure they all work together and everything, and I've bought so much, it's just ridiculous. So you know, if you want, I'll give an example, okay? One oh god, what was his name? Damn. Barry, I think it is, really nice guy. I might actually just be, do you know what, I'm going to find his name, because I actually do want to thank him on camera. And my memory at my age is getting a bit poor. Barry Jack, yeah, there we go. So Barry Jack wanted me to do what he wanted. He wanted that little port on the back of the case, right? So I said to him, well, look, can you send me dimensions? He didn't. He just sent me the whole thing. Okay, so now means because that plugs into the 1200 ribbon support, yeah? And then it goes to the back, and you put an 80, and I mean, they're very old keyboard, but, you know, you can plug in an old 80. Now, that's the kind of thing that helps no end. But people, you know, I do get the thing, and it does get a bit frustrating. Is, well, why don't you do this, and well, yes, you know, send me the bits, send me the, you know, but by doing it this way, then it helps the project. It helps me to push things forward, because I want to give this stuff away, and I want to try and help, you know, make the give more stuff to the community. Of course, the case hopefully make some money. But anyway, so that's it. So if you want the Pi software, you need to be a Patreon supporter, or buy a case. And you know, so I which I don't think is too unreasonable. But it means, you know, it might cost you $3, $4 or something like that. But it will help, because then I'll use that money to buy more bits. And as I said, really, if I'm going to do a 1200 case, I'm doing a 500 one anyway. That's regardless. But I'm not doing that until I've got the Kickstarter done, because I don't need the keyboard. I'm quite happy to use a mechanical one, but a lot of people want to be able to use like the 500 and 1200 keyboards externally, and of course that's going to take some costs, as I said. But to make prototypes, probably going to cost £300-400 to make those prototypes, and I don't want to fund it. So, but if I've got some money coming from Patreon, then I can do all that kind of work. Anyway, that's it. Waffled on for long enough. So hopefully, I might put some targets on it. But if I can get it up to $300-400 a month, that would be great. That would really help. Even if at the end of the Kickstarter you just stop it and say you've paid for, because I think this Kickstarter might not take too long to deliver. I'm going to put quite a long time, probably 6 months. I think I'm probably going to put on it to deliver. But as I said before, the only thing I need to do is make the plastics. So it might not take as long as it might not, because the manufacturing for the cases is ready to go. So I don't think it's going to take that long to deliver. But anyway, so if you want to support the project, please do it on Patreon. There's an awful lot there. I am now up to, I think it was 1350 on my Facebook group, which is a real surprise. Let's have a look. What we got here? 1328. So there's an awful lot of members on there. I'm hoping a proportion of them are interested in it for the PC retro side as well. But yeah, so there's project's going well. And as I said, once I've got this the quotes in for the plastics, and I've got all that, then I can put it all in. I've already built the spreadsheet, the calculations are ready to go. I just need to put the actual figures in, and then I can work out the cost, the stretch goals, that kind of thing, to get this thing launched. And then we'll be ready to go. So, you know, I'm fingers crossed, maybe sometime next month, I'll be able to launch the Kickstarter. So, sorry I did waffle on. Oh God, I waffled on forever again, didn't I? But yeah, so all going good, and I look forward to getting these cases out to you. All right, thanks very much. Bye.